what would you tell young people, who want to get into your profession particularly, at a time when, let's face it, there's a challenge of technology in your profession, there is entry barriers, all kinds of things. People are saying lawyers won't be required anymore. What would you say to young people who want to make law their profession?
The most important thing about the law is that it signifies a commitment to public service. Because the law is all about societal service. Of course, lawyers do service to themselves as well when they earn fees from their clients, but that's a small part of the story. The essence of law is realizing rights, and in the process of realizing the rights of others, to bring about a wider social transformation. So in that sense, I would encourage young people to join the law. It's a profession which is breaking glass ceilings, it's breaking feudal barriers, it's breaking patriarchal barriers. You asked me about, AI, and will AI take the place of lawyers or possibly judges? Well, there's lots that AI can do, as we will possibly discuss, but there's one thing which AI cannot substitute, and that's compassion, a sense of love, a sense of respect, a sense of dignity, and that only humans can bring to the process.
But the profession still has a lot of entry barriers, right? I mean, you talked about feudal barriers, gender barriers. How do you make the profession a lot more egalitarian, if you will, for people who are wanting to enter it and make a career out of it, particularly in the context of women? Again, it's something that you've taken a great interest in when you were a judge and then later on CJI. Do you think this is a level playing field?
Well, there are two segments of the profession that we must deal with. One, which is purely in the private realm, which is unregulated, namely lawyers entering into courts. And then you have the more structured part of the legal profession, where young lawyers join the judiciary right at the inception. And there you find that because the process of recruitment to the Indian judiciary at the lowest levels is structured, it's based on competitive examinations, on interviews, where there's a level playing field, particularly for women, you'd find that that's the place where the social barriers are being broken down. Because a young person across the realm, irrespective of their command over English, because as you know, the local language, the regional language is the language of the courts, these young people are now entering into the legal profession. They're all first-generation judges. So quite contrary to what is portrayed very often in the media, these are people without any background who aspire for nothing but the best. The second thing that is happening is that so many young women are entering into the Indian judiciary at the lowest levels. You asked me about women, and should we deal with that briefly right now itself? I mean, I'll leave it to you, because there's something very important that, we need to focus on about women. The issue about creating a level playing field for women is not just an issue of the legal profession. It's an issue which has a broader social content. Take a very simple case where both spouses work and you have a child. There's a parents-teachers meeting in this class. Who goes to those parent-teachers meetings? The mother? If the child falls sick, is down with measles for 2 weeks, who stays home? The mother? Who stays home when the woman is expecting a child and she's in an advanced stage of pregnancy? Obviously, the person who is carrying the child. Now, what happens as a result of these societal inhibitions and barriers? The woman also has a very disproportionate responsibility for looking after the elderly in the family, parents, in-laws, the aged in the family. So, if a woman drops out of the workforce at an early stage, it becomes extremely difficult to get back. Now, take the case of the Indian judiciary. If a woman has, say, had a break for 3 years or 5 years when the children were young, it becomes extremely difficult then to get back at the same level as a male counterpart would be at. For the reason when we are recruiting judges to the High Court, we look at how many judgments do you have? What's the volume of cases that you have dealt with? A woman who has faced this break in career is basically not able to compete at the same level. So first and foremost, we will have to therefore lower, in a certain respect, the entry barriers or the entry standards to have more women entering into the higher judiciary, which is not to say that you are lowering quality, but you are lowering these barriers, conscious of the fact that women face these disproportionate social burdens which men do not necessarily face. But as I said, Zaka, this is not really so much an issue of the legal profession as a broader social issue. In the legal profession, there are certain peculiar things which women have to combat. One of them, for instance, is that, the high mobility at the workplace. You don't go to one job or one desk and sit there the whole day, right? Going to your office is only a very small part of a woman's or a man's role in the legal profession. You're working in the court all day long, but your work doesn't come to an end after court hours are over. You go back to your office, you're meeting clients, you're traveling cities. So, in a sense, these particular constraints of the legal profession have a disproportionate impact on women in our society. And really speaking, therefore, there has to be a broader societal response to ensure that more and more women enter into the workplace. But as I said, India is changing. I mean, you just look at the audience in a court and you will find an overwhelmingly large number of young women today in our courtrooms, which is just a sign of the changing times.